Good afternoon, everyone. It's James Carpenter with Country Living. I want to talk about something today that is going to sound a little bit far-fetched to a lot of people, but a few of you know exactly what I'm talking about. And what I'd like to talk about is who is really running the show. Well, first of all, I'm going to say God. He runs everything. But let's talk about the planet Earth. Who's really running the show? So to answer that question, I have done a lot of research over the last couple decades, actually throughout my life, but the last couple decades I've really gotten up to speed as to what's going on in the world we live in. And basically, there's a middleman. I'm just going to call it the middleman. And that is the people at the top. You may have heard them referred to as the Illuminati. Now they're using terms like the New World Order. So they have an agenda. But I'm going to say they're the middleman. Okay, so you have planet Earth, and you have all of us human beings. And we've all been pretty much lied to for years about what's really going on and the technology that's available to us, but not here on the planet. It's being used somewhere else, and that is in outer space. Now, this is where a lot of you are probably going to say, this guy's nuts. But again, this is all based off of research. In the 1930s and 40s, the Germans obviously came up with the jet engine and made the first missiles, and they actually made a flying saucer looking thing, and they made a thing called the Bell, which was a time machine. So they were heavily involved. Now, the way I understand it, there was a group of reptilians, that's a type of alien, that was working with the Germans to push their agenda, and in return they were giving the Germans technology. And part of that technology was anti-gravity technology. So what happened, the Germans ended up, they lost the war, but they relocated to Antarctica and down in South America. But the group in Antarctica was in an underground base where the Germans had stumbled onto alien ships that were frozen in time. I guess there was everything froze. The Earth changed its axis or something years ago. But all this alien technology was down there, and the Germans were using U-boats to go in under the ice, and they made a secret base. But long story short, they had the technology to go into space by the mid-40s. And they've been up there ever since. And in 1953, they wanted the involvement of the United States because they knew we were heavy into industry and we could make ships and all that kind of stuff for them. So in 1953, they took about, I think it was 13 UFOs, and they hovered over Washington, D.C., the White House. And that was to get a message across that, hey, we got some technology that you guys are not aware of. So they ended up setting up a meeting with the President of the United States at the time. And they made an agreement. The United States would now work with the Germans in outer space. And this is where the separation started. That became like a secret, top secret ordeal. And we supplied a lot of people to go, volunteers to go up there. And they went up there. A lot of them really didn't volunteer. They were forced into slavery. But anyhow, we got involved with the Germans. Okay, so now you got the Germans and the Americans flying around in space, colonizing Mars, colonizing the moon. And the moon was already colonized by alien groups. The Germans had built, they didn't actually build it, well, they built a facility, but they also occupied some of the existing facilities on the moon. So get back to the Illuminati, they are using us, that's the humans that are here on Earth, basically to tax us to death and generate revenue. And you know, they want to keep us dumbed down. So you know, way back they started putting fluoride in the water and fluoride in the toothpaste, and those have a tendency to dumb the brain down. Anything they could do to keep us suppressed. But what is about to take place is what they're calling first contact. The aliens feel that the human race has evolved to the point that we're ready to move from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. And they really want to help us out with the process. So there's a place called the Galactic Federation that has watched over to the planet for millions of years, because obviously with the technology some of these alien groups have, they could have probably taken us years ago. But the Galactic Federation has basically protected the planet for a lot of years. Now they're ready to have that first contact and let it be on the news, and people's gonna go, whoa, there really is aliens. But some of us know that, yes, there are a lot of aliens. And once full contact is made, the public will realize that there are aliens. They're trying to usher this in gently right now, because you're hearing more and more about UFOs and all that. But once we get the first contact and we start to work with the Galactic Federation, things are going to change, because in space they have technologies that we don't have on the planet. Now you're probably thinking, well, why don't we have those on the planet? It's because one of them is called the med bed. It's actually a device that you lay down in, and regardless of what's wrong with you, it just repairs the human body, and you come out feeling 30 years younger, and you don't have any diabetes or high blood pressure or any of that stuff. It straightens all that out. So that's the med bed. And they also have free energy. I mean, we could have a little box about this big that would give energy to probably the whole county. I don't even know what the range is on that, but there's too much money being made by the Illuminati on fossil fuels. The medical, you know, they're putting stuff in our food that's making us sick. They're spraying stuff called chemtrails. It's heavy metals and different things coming down on us that's making us sick. So the whole idea is to keep us down, keep us sick, and they can sell you more pills and the whole 9 yards. Now, if we had the med bed, there would be no need for hospitals, no need for doctors. If we had free energy, we wouldn't have to be building all these nuclear plants, which are relatively dangerous, as we all know. But there's too much money being made by them, so they're keeping us suppressed and segregated from what's called the secret space program. That's where the Germans and the Americans are. A lot of activity going on up there. A lot of trade with other alien species. For some reason, the aliens like our clothing, of all things. But, you know, some of the trade is actually human trafficking type stuff. They're giving humans, abducted humans, in trade for other things. But this topic is so deep that I really don't know where to go or what to say. I think maybe this is going to generate some comments. A lot of you are going to think I'm crazy, but remember, it's all based on research. And when I research deep. I don't just take one person's word or article. I have to hear it from several different people before I actually say, yeah, there's something to this. So we've got something to look forward here. We're moving from the third dimension to the fifth dimension, which is great. We're going to have help from the Galactic Federation, and also know that there's positive aliens and there's negative aliens. So there's actually been a war out there in space for a lot of years. And unfortunately, AI is a good tool, but AI can also be a very bad tool. And the technology is so advanced in space that AI is what the Galactic Federation is fighting against. So the war up there is against AI, and we have a tendency, we're winning that battle up there. I would like to see some comments, see what everybody thinks about what I'm saying here. And by all means, don't judge me or say, oh, this guy's nuts or whatever. I'm not nuts. I'm just telling you what I've learned over the years. And if I do get some questions, then maybe that'd be a good topic for the next video. But anyhow, I'm about finished for today. I've probably scared some people, and some people go, wow, at least somebody's talking about it. I want you to have a great evening. I want you to consider subscribing and leaving comments and liking my videos. Thank you, and have a great evening.